So let's talk about eat, sleep, relax, forget, protect. So there's an Italian scientist that is very famous in cannabis therapeutics. His name is Vincent DiMarzo in Italy. And he coined that term, eat, sleep, relax, forget, protect, because when you're trying to communicate the system that cannabinoids can modulate, that's what we want to talk about, because every single one of our physiologies that keep us alive are activated and modulated by this. So it regulates everything in our body, our mood, our memory, our appetite, our pain, our sleep. And if the endocannabinoid system is working well, we feel good. If it's not, we don't. And it's pretty that simple. If you're not feeling well, supplement with the plant, and let's see if we can get you back to health.
Okay, this is a really busy slide, I know, but I'm just going to try to narrow it down very intentionally. So the endocannabinoid system signals everything in the gastrointestinal tract. So thinking of appetite, metabolism, hormone signaling. So the GI tract also has motility, acid-fluid balance, dilation of blood vessels, nerve conduction, muscle contraction, and when we need to take food. So we're stimulating our hunger hormones, whether we're hungry or not hungry. So when you think of eating and metabolism, there's a lot of different things, different product combinations that are out there that can help stimulate appetite, can suppress appetite, can improve the gut microbiome and the gastrointestinal health. And when you're improving your gut microbiome, it actually communicates to your central nervous system. And then different cannabinoids for different types of conditions. So for nausea, there's inhalation. For diarrhea, high THC oils. Constipation, CBD oils. Diabetes, THCV. Weight loss, THCV and CBD oils. Gastroesophageal reflux disease. So this is just a detailed slide showing that any condition that you have in your GI tract, there's a product for to either help. Okay, so the next slide is sleep. So the endocannabinoid system plays a role in regulating our circadian rhythm, and that's our body's internal clock that governs the mental, emotional, physical, behavioral patterns over a 24-hour cycle, and this includes our sleep-wake cycle. So the goal when we're taking cannabinoids is to create the cornerstones of a good night's sleep. What does that kind of look like? The ease of falling asleep and staying asleep, deep restorative sleep and REM dreaming, and no residual drowsiness upon rising. So when we're working with consumers that have issues with sleep, we don't like them to think about the pharmaceutical model. The pharmaceutical model and the plant medicine model are different. The pharmaceutical model is you take your sleep medicine 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed. The plant medicine model is a little bit different. Everything that you do in the daytime is going to affect how you sleep at night. So we take a holistic approach, and how can you modulate the stress response in the daytime? What are some activities that you can do, and some products that you can take to keep you in homeostasis, in balance, not running hot or too cold, right, in balance, and so that helps. So we teach people how to stack different cannabinoids for sleep, and there's different cannabinoid combinations for different conditions. And then when you think about, just the basics of sleep, do you have difficulty falling asleep? Well, then you want something short acting. That might be a puff or two off of a vape or a joint or a bong or whoever you inhale, or a tincture that's more short acting. If you have difficulty staying asleep, you want something more long acting. This is where the edibles, the gummies, the capsules, the baked goods can come in to help you stay asleep longer, because it lasts longer, because it's going through your digestive tract. Okay, next slide is relax. So this is modulating anxiety and fear. So the endocannabinoid system signals both the fight or flight response and the relaxation response. The fight or flight response we cannot control. The relaxation response requires conscious awareness and practice, and we can do various things to do that. Stress brings people to cannabis. Anxiety is the number 2 reason why people come to cannabis. Pain is the number 1 reason. So this has been across all types of anxieties that exist, and there's a lot of different social anxiety, general anxiety disorder, PTSD anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. Research has confirmed that high CBD, low THC products are the best options for all anxiety types. We generally start patients off with a full spectrum CBD product that has a trace amount of THC, and then after a week or 2 of being on that, we start to slowly introduce 1 to 2 milligrams of THC in the evening and teach them how to self-titrate. So again, THC is very effective at low doses, but at higher doses, it can cause anxiety. And that's the interesting thing, that's the biphasic nature of the plant. Low doses doing one thing, high doses doing something else.
Okay, so moving over to forget. Remember those CB1 receptors in the brain, the hippocampus, the amygdala? These are our learning and our memory centers, and the endocannabinoid system is full right there. So when you come to activating CB1, we're really going to want to think about THC, along with CBG, that also is an agonist. But low doses of THC helps us forget we're in pain, which is really nice. It's like a lot of, it works on the pain, on the signaling, but many people will say, I just forgot that I was hurting, right? You get that reprieve, which is wonderful. Low dose THC can also improve memory and cognition. And so we teach this to seniors. Take a milligram or two a few times a day, and you're going to have a sharper memory, a sharper focus. And that is a really good thing. But 5 to 10, a couple of times a day, not so good. Higher doses of THC can cause that stoned, forgetful feeling. You go to cook and you're like, I don't know what I was doing. And that's where you need to back off a little bit, add some CBD. THC also helps us trim memories when we're sleeping. That's where your brain is getting rid of everything. If you remembered everything that you took in a day, your head would explode, right? You need to be able to forget some things. And that happens when you sleep. And THC is actually conducive to helping that. And it also inhibits acetylcholinesterase. So that is the enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine. Anybody that's starting to get some dementia needs to increase a little bit of CBD and THC and because that will help to make sure that that system is working and slowing down the pathway to dementia. Also, it stimulates BDNF, our new learning, our neuroplasticity, which you also get with psychedelics. So low doses of cannabinoids can do the same thing that some psilocybin does, but in a much stronger way. And then protect. This is our immune system. So think about your body as a fortress. CB2 receptors active, THC is a direct agonist for them. And this is the body protecting you from anything that is foreign, not me. Your white blood cells, your immune system, and helping you fight infection, bringing the body back to balance. And then think about the inflammation. Think about cytokines. We learned about that with COVID. CBD and THC can quiet that cytokine storm, but that also plays a role when we're talking about inflammation in the knees, in the hips, in the shoulders, in the joints, etc. And then think about autoimmune conditions. Or even cancer, right? The CB2 receptors are not working so well. So we want to fortify the body with cannabinoids and see if we can bring it back to balance, because cannabinoids can push the brakes and suppress the immune system, but it can also stimulate, push the gas, and rev up the immune system, like in HIV. And different cannabinoids all work differently for that. So let's talk about dosing and how to get these compounds into the body when you shop with making your personalized CBD and cannabis medicine toolkit.
Okay, so when working with patients, they'll say, what should I take? I said, well, let's learn about all of it, because we want you to build a toolkit. The goal is to use multiple different product types at the same time, because that keeps costs low and tolerance low. And so when we're people that are new, specifically seniors, this is my mother's story, I could just tell you the story, is topicals is a great place to start. So when you think of topicals, top, on the body, not inside, outside. Topicals cannot get into the bloodstream at all, and you will not get high. So think of the lotions, creams, balms, salves, roll-ons. The onset is relatively fast, 5 to 15 minutes. The duration can last up to 4 hours. And so we're working with consumers, we tell them to put it on after they bathe, in the morning, in the evening, and PRN. A lot of people that are in rehab will put it on before that they have their PT session or work out, etc. And then when you think of tinctures, I want you to think of the oils and the drops, right? So this is sublingual, under the tongue. So the oils or drops come in a little tincture bottle. You'll pull it up, easy to measure the milligrams, right? You pop it under your tongue. Your tongue has a vein that it can get absorbed in. You also have receptors all in your mouth. Think of your mouth like a sponge. So you want to swish it around your mouth, hold it for as long as possible, and then swallow it. So some of it will get absorbed into your oral mucosa, and some of it will get absorbed in your digestive tract. Onset can be varied from person to person, anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. In older folks, sometimes it can take up to an hour, because sometimes they don't hold it long enough and they swallow it and their digestive system is a little slower. But duration is a little bit longer, 4 to 6 hours. And then we get into edibles. These are things that you're eating and going through your digestive tract. So this is the capsules, gummies, candies, drinks, baked goods, etc., by milligrams. Onset generally for the young, healthy individual is 30 to 60 minutes, and the older folks, I've seen 90 to 2 hours, I've actually seen, because they have slower digestion. And duration is much longer. So this is good for people that need long acting. And we always like to caution with THC, with the edibles and tinctures, because when you consume it and it goes into your liver, the THC converts into a stronger, more potent form and lands in your brain a little bit tighter. So it locks into that receptor a little bit tighter. That's why people feel edibles a lot different than they do when they're inhaling or using other different modalities.
Your presentation.
Oh, yep, thank you. Okay, it's coming back. All right, so then that's edible. So we always say start low, go slow with oral routes. And then we have inhalation. I don't know why, Elisabeth. I don't know how to fix that. Then inhalation. So these are the things that you consume, you inhale. So example, the joints, pipes, bongs, vape pens, dabs. Dry herb vaporizer is generally the safest and the healthiest, and that's what we teach patients that need to inhale to use. And they, get a little grinder, they get their flower, they fill up their vaporizer, and they inhale the vapor. And this is the flowers, oils, and concentrates that you can find at the dispensaries. So the onset for inhalation is relatively quick.
Yeah, it's
Onset is 1 to 2 minutes. Duration can be 1 to 4 hours, and that depends upon how many puffs you've taken, how strong the product is that you're inhaling. And we generally say 1 puff is 1 to 2 milligrams of THC if it's a cannabis strain. And so we tell people, to take one puff, wait, see how you feel before you take the next one. Yeah. And so where to purchase these different products? Cannabis THC products can be purchased at licensed dispensaries, and hemp CBD products can be found on online retailers or CBD shops. And we're going to get into safety in a little bit.
Somehow I lost my slideshow, but it's all right. All right, so how do you find these good medical products, right? So if you go to Weed Maps or Leafly, you can find dispensaries and you can type in what you're looking for. So say you wanted to see a 1-to-1 CBD THC tincture or a 1-to-1 vape pen, you can put in your zip code and that search, and it's going to pull up Microbuttery, it's going to pull up Double I, and all of the dispensaries that are local and you want to go to. We help people to put together their toolkit as nurses all over the country. We have a national telehealth platform. And so that way we can dial it in wherever somebody is. And then when it comes to safety, what we do is teach somebody to find their minimum effective dose. This is what we call Goldilocks dosing. So enough so that you feel it and you have relief from whatever you're struggling with, and not too much that you're impaired or spending all your money on it, because it's easy. But so start low, go slow. That's a phrase in cannabis. Everybody should know that. And you want to start low, go slow.
Remember that.
Yeah, start low, go slow, right? So you start with a milligram or two and you go slow in adding more. And so especially with THC products, you don't want to get too high. And we talk about microdosing, right? So you want to mimic the endocannabinoid system. And if you think about the onset and duration of what Sherri just went through, if something lasts 6 hours, in 6 hours, you just take a little bit more, right? And that's how we microdose. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, bedtime, and then CBD generally during the day, THC in the evening. And the stacking products, again, keeps it cost effective and keeps your tolerance low. And think about short acting and long acting. So you have a little vape and a gummy, and then that way you've got your immediacy and you've got your long term. So you can deal with pain or cancer symptoms or etc. And then safety with other pharmaceuticals. You want to make sure that you're spacing them a little bit. So take the pharmaceuticals first, have some fluids and some food, push things through, and then take the cannabis. So that there's a little bit of separation, because when you're taking orally, they all go through the digestion, right? So if you're taking capsules or gummies, inhalation is much cleaner. It just goes right into the lungs and through the bloodstream. But with oral dosing, you want to be careful. And then journal and track, right? So you want to make sure you know what's working, what you like, what strains, what chemovars you like, what oral methods you like, what gummies you like, so you can find them again. I don't know why yeah. So
It's about journaling and tracking. That's really important.
Yeah.
You can figure out your terpenes, etc. But there was someone who was involved with CBCAN, but I found a journal on Amazon. There's a lot of options.
There is. There's cannabis journals, and there's also apps like Tetragram, Strain Finder. There are some cannabis apps where you can just go in and put in what you're taking as well.